Freddie was a bad man on that tenor saxophone, but he liked to wear a turban. And his friend, the trumpet player, heck, he's wearing a blanket. Welcome to another edition of Records with Ralph, where I'm trying to match up some of my more weird clothes with some album covers. This is kind of a African motif dashiki. Started getting interested in these things when I was in the Navy over in the Philippines, and we could get clothes made, and that seemed to be the popular thing at the time. And I had several of these things made. I even got married in one of them. I had a red and black one, looked like snake skin. I had a yellow and green one, snake skin, but this is just kind of one that they ended up printing. I think these are actually from India or something like that. But Herbie Hancock released these three records under the Mwandishi. They actually had their names. They had all these strange spelled African names. The best of these three, I think, is this one called Crossings. Beautiful, just strange things you used to get with record albums. Used to love these things. Used to stare at them and just drift off with the music. Here's Aretha Franklin with definitely some African type clothing. Amazing Grace with some beautiful African inspired clothing, and another one where she has a turban there and a turban there. Here's another guy wearing a turban. The Leon Thomas album. Leon Thomas. He sang with Santana for a little while. But what's interesting about this album, I was looking at it and noticing the drummer lineup. Billy Cobham and Roy Haynes. 2 generations apart, and they're still going at it. But Leon Thomas, he's amazing. Another guy used to wear a turban, Mr. Freddie Smith with the Serfs, Mike Finnegan and the Serfs, local Wichita band. Freddie was a bad man on that tenor saxophone, but he liked to wear a turban. His friend, the trumpet player, heck, he's wearing a blanket. This guy here, Hugh Masekela, I bought this record the first summer I was out of the Navy. There was a store down on South Main called Team Electronics, and it was a stereo store. They sold records. A guy named Bill Meyer, who's running the Good Vibrations shop right now, he was owning that place, and they were selling records. I remember I bought this in here, but the reason I brought this up is because we used to go to New Orleans all the time, and in the Congo Square area of the Jazz Fest, they'd always have these African clothing people, and for some reason I'd buy these African clothing things, and I'd wear stuff that looked like this sometimes. I don't know, sometimes Juanita would say, why would you let me go out of the house looking like some of this stuff? But things I used to have. And then just because we're talking about Africa and inspired things and nice looking albums, here's one from John Coltrane, the African Brass Sessions with some masks on it. Beautiful album. A couple of things from Miles Davis, Bitches Brew, and here's Bitches Brew, first of all, I guess. This is when he kind of electrified the world with what in the world is this all about? And then his artwork just got completely out there. What's that all about? Miles Davis, Live Evil. I don't know. O.C. Bisa, and you'll notice this artwork. This is a CD, but O.C. Bisa, Roger Dean, this guy who did the same album work for the band Yes. These guys had the Flying Elephants on there. O.C. Bisa. They were an African band. Really good and sad, but one of the founding members of that band just passed away just a couple of days ago. Anyway, we went to Africa for a minute. Thought I was an African for a minute, but what's the best one out of this? Yeah, I'd just go right to this one here, the Serfs. This is probably the best band overall that I ever saw, this local band here from Wichita. They were amazing. They had a horn section, they had a vibe player, they had a conga player, and they had Mike Finnegan. What else are you going to say? Yeah, they were an amazing band. Amazing band. This guy, Lane Tejan, I remember time, he was normally the guitar player. And one time he sat down as a guitar player and picked up a trombone, so they had a 3-piece horn section, and they were playing Sam Cooke's The Change Is Gonna Come. A friend of mine I was with, he was just standing there with his mouth open going, what am I seeing? And they were an amazing group, Mike Finnegan and the Serfs. Wearing a turban.